Book 2, Lesson 13. Bustle. Bustle has two meanings. Bustle is busy and noisy movement. Felix and Delia waited in the bustle of the lobby for the doors of the theater to open. To bustle is to move around in a busy, excited way. The students bustled from table to table, choosing materials to make masks.
Now let's review word meaning. Yes or no. City streets are usually filled with bustle on Monday mornings. If you said yes, you are right. City streets are filled with noise and movement as people go to work.
Channel. Channel has four meanings. A channel is the bed or path of a river or stream. The channel of this river is not deep enough for these large boats. A channel is a groove or cut that allows water to pass through it. Mr. Skura built a brick channel down the slope to drain excess water from the garden. A channel is a body of water joining two larger bodies of water. The English Channel joins the North Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. A channel is a way to carry an electrical signal to a television set. Without an outside antenna, our television receives only 3 channels.
Now let's review word meaning. True or false. A lake is an example of a channel. If you said false, you're correct. Channels join two larger bodies of water to each other.
Connect. To connect is to join or bring together. The first direction to Jan's house says to follow this street until it connects to the main highway.
Now let's review word meaning. Yes or no. When you connect dots, you erase them from the paper. If you said no, you are correct. To connect dots means to draw a line between them or to attach them.
Empire. An empire is a number of countries or areas under the control of a single ruler or government. For several hundred years, the Romans ruled an empire that included all the countries around the Mediterranean Sea.
Now let's review word meaning. Choose A or B. Each country in an empire, A, has its own government, or B, is under the control of the same government. If you said B, you are right. Countries in an empire are all ruled by the same government or leader.
Mention. To mention something is to speak of it without going into a lot of detail. Did Carlos mention to you that he would be at the swimming pool this afternoon?
Now let's review word meaning. True or false. When you mention something, you explain how it works. If you said false, you're right. To mention something means to talk about it without going into detail.
Peak. Peak has two meanings. A peak is the pointed top of a mountain. The highest peak in Africa is Mount Kilimanjaro. A peak is any pointed top. Vera whipped the cream into stiff peaks.
Now let's review word meaning. Choose A or B. Which of these has a peak? A pyramid, or B, a basketball? If you said A, you're correct. Pyramids have pointed tops.
Scholar. A scholar is a person who has studied a subject and knows a great deal about it. The scholar who wrote this book describes the houses and food of the Iroquois people living in the 1700s.
Now let's review word meaning. Yes or no. You could learn a lot by talking to a scholar. If you said yes, you're right. Scholars have studied certain subjects and they could share their knowledge with you.
Settle. Settle has three meanings. To settle is to come to rest. A thick fog settled over the trees and houses, leaving only gray, shadowy forms. To settle is to decide about some problem. Mrs. Reyes settled the argument between Diane and me by having us find the answer in the dictionary. To settle is to live in a place and make it one's home. When Sheng came to the United States from Laos, she settled in Houston, Texas.
Now let's review word meaning. Choose A or B. When you settle an argument between two people, you A, make them start arguing, or B, end the argument. If you said B, you are correct. When something is settled, it is decided or ended.
Vehicle. A vehicle is anything on wheels or runners used to carry people or things from place to place. An emergency vehicle raced along the crowded street with its sirens wailing.
Now let's review word meaning. Choose A or B. Which of these is a vehicle? A bike, or B, a horse? If you said A, you are right. A bike has wheels and can carry you from place to place.
Zigzag. Zigzag has two meanings. A zigzag is a line that angles as it changes direction from side to side. The skier made a zigzag down the side of the hill. To zigzag is to change direction at an angle by moving from side to side. Matt and Anna carefully zigzagged the canoe past several rocks in the river.
Now let's review word meaning. True or false? When you're in heavy traffic, you should drive in a zigzag. If you said false, you're correct. You should drive in a straight line, not in a zigzag, to avoid hitting other cars.
Next, let's move to today's story, The Lost City of the Incas. Do you think a city can just disappear? That is what people believed about Machu Picchu, Peru. This city was hidden from view for nearly 400 years. It was finally found in 1911. Let's explore it. Peru, a country in South America, has some of the highest mountains in the world. They are part of the Andes mountain chain. These mountains run along the western coast of South America. Some peaks are over 22,000 feet high. Travel in this area is not easy. Some places are almost impossible to reach. However, long ago, people did settle in these parts. They are known to us as the Incas. Machu Picchu was one of the many cities that they built. This city is high in the Andes. There are steep cliffs on all sides, some are 2,000 feet high. All the buildings are made from large blocks of stone. These were carefully cut to fit together exactly. How were they able to move such big stones into place? Not even scholars know. The Incas never invented a wheel. The Andes paths are too steep. Vehicles with wheels would have been useless. The city streets connect to each other by steps. These lead from one level to the next. Most of the buildings are one-room houses. They were built around open spaces. Channels were cut into the stone. They carried water into the homes. We know very little about the people of Machu Picchu. The Incas did not leave any records. They never invented a way to write. We do know, however, that they were artistic. Faces and strange animal shapes are carved in the stones around the city. They were also skilled astronomers. They studied the stars to learn when seasons would begin and end. They showed the seasons by marks carved in the stone. Their clocks were made of stone, too. They measured time as the shadow of the sun passed across their faces. In 1532, a small Spanish army arrived. They overcame the Incas. They took control of their cities. Peru became part of Spain's empire. No one knows what happened to the people of Machu Picchu. The Spanish never mentioned the city in any of their records. Time passed. Some people believed an old city lay hidden in the mountains. Almost 400 years later, explorers found it. It was covered over by trees and bushes. These plants were cut back. The city stood as it once had. Today, many people visit it. Most fly to Cusco, a city in southern Peru. About 500,000 people live there. Visitors then take a 4-hour train ride up the mountain. The last part of the journey by bus can be scary. Nervous people are told not to look out of the windows. This is because the bus slowly zigzags its way up a road. This road is cut into the steep side of the mountain. The trip to the top lasts about 20 minutes. Once there, visitors can enjoy the wonderful views of the Andes in all directions. They are free to explore the city. They can think about the people who built it. The streets of Machu Picchu were silent for almost 400 years. Today, they are once again filled with the bustle of people. The end.